Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being patient as we work through our tech issues. Welcome to our Friday Independent Living Skills Session. My name is Catherine. Visual description, I am a white female with shoulder-length black hair that I'm wearing down today. And I have on a maroon striped top and a green sweater. I'm coming to you from the LVCIL office in downtown Allentown area from our Dan Wilson conference room. Like to welcome Diane from PA Treasury. Today we're going to be talking about ABLE accounts. Quick logistics for today. We are going to record the session and post the recording and any links to our YouTube channel, so you can check it out there for a replay. We invite everyone to turn on their cameras if they're comfortable. Captions are available through Zoom. You can click on the CC live transcript and show subtitles to turn them on for your viewing. And we encourage the use of the chat box or unmuting and asking questions throughout the presentation. So again, we have Diane Fishlock from PA Treasury. She is the PA ABLE Outreach Specialist for Pennsylvania's Treasury Bureau of Consumer Programs. She shares information about the PA ABLE savings accounts throughout the state. Diana's mother and sister worked with individuals with disabilities throughout their careers. So Diane grew up hearing about disability issues and has been passionate about disability topics for many years. Before coming to the Treasury Department, Diane created publications for the Pennsylvania Department of Treasury, for the Department of Human Services, and covered the disability community as a newspaper reporter. She is a mom of 2 teens with disabilities. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Okay, super. Thank you very much for having me. I'm guessing that people are mostly interested in ABLE, so I'm going to do a regular ABLE presentation and then talk at the end about our other savings programs. So thank you very much, Catherine. Yep, my name is Diana Fishlock, as Catherine said, and I'm just gonna jump to the next slide. In today's overview, we'll talk about what ABLE is, who is eligible, how to open and manage an account, and some additional details and considerations, and including a few extra rules for individuals receiving supplemental security income. Since we have a kind of small audience today, I don't mind stopping between sections and seeing if there's questions about what I just covered, so you don't have to wait till the end to get your questions answered. What is ABLE? An ABLE account is a savings and investment product for people with disabilities to use for qualified disability-related expenses. One of the most significant features of ABLE accounts is that funds in the account are not counted when determining eligibility for federal means-tested benefits, with some limitation for supplemental security income. Through ABLE for the first time, many individuals with disabilities can save for a more secure future and have the ability to control their own funds. PA ABLE gives a number of investment options to the person managing the account, and funds in an ABLE account can be used for a wide variety of expenses. ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. ABLE was signed into federal law in 2014, and that enabled the states to create their own ABLE programs if they wished. Pennsylvania's ABLE program began in April 2017. Ours has been one of the fastest growing in the country with a proven track record. More than 7,200 account owners have saved more than $100 million in assets. So we're very excited about that. As I mentioned, with an ABLE account, you can save while maintaining government benefits. The federal law says that assets in an ABLE account and qualified withdrawals from the account are not counted in any federal means-tested benefits, with some limitation for SSI. Also, PA ABLE assets are not counted against Pennsylvania needs-based benefits having to do with disability health, and student financial aid. This is extremely important because without ABLE, it was very limited how much individuals with disabilities could save and still receive government benefits. For example, traditionally SSI recipients could only save $2,000 in assets without jeopardizing their benefits. Now, in addition to that $2,000, they can save up to $100,000 in an ABLE account, which can make a huge difference, giving a person the ability to save for a house or a car or just everyday expenses. If they go above that $100,000 threshold, SSI benefits will be suspended but not terminated. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Account owners who don't receive SSI can save more than $500,000 in their ABLE account. An individual can have only one ABLE account nationwide, and while you may see information from other states, Pennsylvania's ABLE law has several PA-specific benefits. These are only available to Pennsylvanians if they use the PA ABLE program. Please note that some states' ABLE programs use confusing advertisements and marketing initiatives that may mislead you to believe that they represent Pennsylvania ABLE. If you open one of these non-PA ABLE accounts, you may be missing out on critical Pennsylvania disability and tax benefits. Remember to look for the PA ABLE logo, which you can see here. It's blue and green. It's shaped a little bit like a license plate. You also can go directly to paable.gov rather than another website. And if you're from a disability organization or support group, you can also order brochures there and other free items. So let's talk a little bit about the tax benefits of ABLE. Contributions to a Pennsylvania ABLE account are eligible for both state and federal tax benefits. Contributions to a PA ABLE account may be deducted from state taxable income up to $17,000 this year. Only contributions to the Pennsylvania ABLE qualify for the PA state income tax deduction. Also, there's no state or federal income tax on any PA ABLE account earnings while the funds are in the account or when they're withdrawn, as long as they're used for qualified disability expenses. And I'll talk a little later about what qualified disability expenses are. Catherine, any questions so far related to what I have been?
No questions yet.
Okay. Let's look at eligibility. So there are two aspects that go into eligibility. The first is the age of onset of the disability, and the second is the disability itself. So the onset of the qualifying disability must occur before the person's 26th birthday. So if my disability was something like Down syndrome, clearly I was born with that. But let's say I was in a bad car accident, it would be important whether that car accident happened when I was 20 or whether it happened when I was 30. It doesn't matter what age the person received the correct diagnosis, and it doesn't matter what age they are now, as long as their disability started by age 26. The second factor is the disability itself. So if an individual is eligible to receive supplemental security income or Social Security disability insurance, then they automatically qualify for ABLE. There is another option for people who don't have enough work history for SSDI or who don't qualify for SSI, and that's called self-certification. With self-certification, in addition to the onset of the disability being by age 26, the person with the disability must have a written disability-related diagnosis from a physician who meets Social Security Administration criteria, saying that the person has a physical or mental impairment that results in marked and severe functional limitation and is expected to last for at least 12 months. That's because these are specialized accounts with a lot of specific benefits to them. So they're not open to just anyone. Let's talk about how to open an account. Most people find that the easiest way to open an account is online. You can go to paable.gov and click on enroll. Completing the enrollment process takes about 15 minutes, and it's a lot like applying for a credit card or a bank account. And I can show you a little later what it looks like to do that. In Pennsylvania, we also give people the option to fill out a paper application if they're more comfortable with that. You can print that out from our website, or you can call our ABLE helpline 855-529-ABLE and request a paper application, which we will mail to your house. So there are some unique rules on account control, and these rules were recently updated. So adults with legal capacity to enter into contracts may open an account for themselves, but they also may appoint any other person that they would like to open and manage the account on their behalf. And that person's called an authorized individual. If the person with the disability is younger than 18 or lacks the legal capacity to enter into a contract, then the ABLE account must be opened by another person. And the IRS limits the type of person who can open an account in that circumstance, and recently defined a hierarchy of order. So the federal regulations limit who can be an authorized individual to a person with power of attorney, a legal guardian, a spouse, a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or a Social Security Administration representative payee. So if there is an authorized individual, another person managing the account, whether the account owner is a child or an adult, that authorized individual is operating that account as a fiduciary, which means they're managing the account on behalf of that other person. So the person with the disability is always the account owner, even if it's like an infant, but certainly if it's an adult. So if I were managing an account for, let's say, my child, it would be with the understanding that it's my child's money, and I'm not going to use it for things that would help me. I'm not going to go get my nails done or buy myself a new car, because it's my child's money and it's to benefit my child. Let's talk about how to make a contribution to a PA ABLE account. There are lots of ways that a person can make a contribution. It's nice and flexible. A person can use a good old-fashioned paper check. They can use a money order. They can use an electronic fund transfer. An account owner can put money in occasionally, or put money into their ABLE account regularly from their payroll or from an existing bank account. People who receive SSI or SSDI can put those funds into an ABLE account as a direct deposit automatically, unless they have a representative payee. We do ask that each contribution be at least $25, and the federal law limits the amount that can be contributed this year to $17,000. Anyone at all can contribute to the account. They just need to provide basic information about the account. Two other ways that people can contribute that I want to mention. One is UGift, which is a free online service, a little bit like PayPal. So let's say I was having a birthday party for my child and I invited everybody on today's webinar. Maybe I don't know everybody super well and I don't want to share the account number. So in that case, I can share the UGift code that would allow people to contribute without me having to divulge the account number. So that's a nice safety feature for people. Another way to contribute is Pennsylvania families can roll over a 529 college and career savings account, tax-free, into an ABLE account. That would count toward that annual limit of $17,000. So if I had a college account with, say, $30,000 in it, I would need to roll it into my ABLE account over 2 different years. The Able to Work Act adds some wonderful flexibility for some account owners who are working. It allows them to contribute more than that limit of $17,000 that I mentioned on the last slide. The way it works is an account owner who has not made a contribution during this tax year to a defined contribution plan like a 401k, an annuity contract, or a deferred compensation plan can contribute more than the $17,000. And the amount extra that they can put in is whichever of these is less, either the amount that they earned this year or the federal poverty level for the prior year. So the most that a person could contribute in 2023 would be $30,590. Catherine, just raise your hand if there's any questions so far. If not, then I'll just keep going. So let's look a little bit at the investment options. When you put funds into an ABLE account, you have 7 different options of how you can invest that money. You can put money into just one of those accounts, or you can spread it out in any combination up to all 7 if you want. On this slide, we can see the 6 asset allocation funds, and on the next slide, I'll show you the checking account. So these asset allocation options range from conservative to aggressive, and they are through firms you've probably heard of like Vanguard, Sallie Mae, and BlackRock. Each option has an asset-based fee of less than 1%. It's shown as an annual percentage, but the returns are taken out from the account daily. They range from 0.3 to 0.34% annually. You can find out more about these on our FAQ page, including each account's strategy, objective, and performance over time. Now let's take a look at the checking account. PA ABLE checking is offered through Fifth Third Bank NA, but account owners enroll in ABLE checking via our website or paper application, just like they would with the other investment options. The account is FDIC insured, and it comes with a free debit card. Using the card is free at ATMs and network, or $2.75 if you use an out-of-network machine. The daily limit at the ATM machine is $800. And if you use the card at a store, the daily limit is $5,000. But you can have those amounts lowered if you want by calling Fifth Third Bank. You also can order checks if you like. There's a fee of $6 for 25 checks. There is a $2 per month fee associated with the checking account, but that fee is completely waived if you do one of 2 things. If you either have an average monthly balance in the checking account of at least $250, or if you choose to have your program materials sent electronically rather than through the mail. Also, there's no overdraft or return payment fees. This slide shows the fees together in one place, just so we're being transparent. ABLE accounts are free to open in Pennsylvania. There is an account maintenance fee that applies regardless of the investment options you choose. We were able to lower these fees recently. The fee is $14.75 quarterly if you receive information by mail, and it's lowered to $8.50 quarterly if you choose to receive program materials electronically. And I already mentioned the other fees. Once you put money into an ABLE account, of course, you'll want to be able to take funds out. Even if you don't have the checking account option, you can make a withdrawal from any of the investment options 3 different ways. You can go online and log into your account. You can call up our ABLE helpline and say, hey, I need you to send a check to my mom, and we'll cut the check and we'll mail it. Or you can call the ABLE helpline. Oh, sorry, I said that one. Or you can do it in writing by filling out a form. If you have that checking account, then you have some added flexibility. You can withdraw from your checking account by using your debit card at a store, by making an ATM cash withdrawal, or by writing a check if you purchase checks. Let's take a look at what your account can be used for. While I take a quick sip of tea. The quick answer is anything. It's your money and you can use it for whatever you want. But if you want to enjoy the full benefits and protections of the ABLE law, then you should use it for qualified disability expenses. Luckily, this is very broad. The federal law lists 11 categories shown on the slide. Things like education, transportation, prevention and wellness. The IRS regulations also list basic living expenses. As a mom, I love that because we mostly spend money on groceries and jeans and sneakers and those kinds of basics. So I love that I can use my children's ABLE accounts for that. ABLE expenses are not limited to things that are medically necessary, nor do they need to be for the sole benefit of the person with a disability. So for example, if I bought one child a computer and the other child used it sometimes, that would be fine. The bottom line is that qualified disability expenses are very broad, and it's up to the account owner or the person managing the account to decide what's a qualified expense. They don't have to call up the Treasury Department or the IRS and check. We do encourage people to keep a receipt of their expenses just in case they are ever audited by the IRS. So since it is so broad, you might wonder, hey, why does it matter if it's qualified or non-qualified? The quick answer is tax consequences. Any funds earned in the ABLE account aren't taxed unless you specify that you're using it for a non-qualified expense. And if so, there is tax earned on, there is tax owed on the earnings portion, your regular federal income tax rate plus 10%, and your Pennsylvania taxes as well. The second consequence is for federal means tested benefits. Withdrawals used for non-qualified expenses will be counted in determining eligibility. This is particularly important for SSI recipients. If they make a non-qualified withdrawal and they don't use the money in the same calendar month that they take it out, it can affect their SSI benefits. Any questions so far, Catherine?
I do have, it's actually a two-part question. So
Okay.
I'll ask you the first part.
Okay.
Are there any important points for those unable to work, not working? And is there any benefit to getting an account if you don't have an income?
Can you rephrase the first part? I'm not sure I understand it.
I will, if the individual who asked, you want to rephrase that, or if you want to come off mute and maybe ask the question.
Yeah, we have a small group. I mean, you're welcome to do that. I guess it will be recorded if you ask that, but.
So they clarify, they said, if you don't have any income, is there any benefit? So any benefit to opening an ABLE account?
Sure. So some possible benefits to you would be it protects your benefits. If let's say someone left you funds and you suddenly found yourself with a pot of money that may interfere with your benefits. If you put it in an ABLE account, that money is somewhat sheltered or protected, and it's not counted against any federal means tested benefits, and it's not counted against Pennsylvania benefits having to do with health, disability, or student financial aid. Another possible benefit is, let's say your sister generally gives you funds to supplement your living. If your sister is a Pennsylvania taxpayer, your sister can put the money directly into your ABLE account and she can get a tax benefit. So that would be another benefit to someone who doesn't have any income, is that if there's anyone else helping them, there's an extra incentive for that person because they can deduct that from their state taxable income. I hope that's helpful.
I hope that is. If not, that individual wants to post in the chat again, we can address any further questions.
Sure. I'll keep going, and I'm going to talk about some rules that only apply to people receiving SSI. So if you receive SSDI or any benefits, and you don't receive SSI, it doesn't apply to you. So under normal SSI rules, gifts can impact SSI eligibility. For example, let's say it's your birthday and I put money into your regular old bank savings account, that could affect your SSI benefits. But with ABLE, anyone at all can contribute. And as long as they put the money directly into the ABLE account, it won't affect your benefits. If another thing specific to people who receive SSI, if their account value, their ABLE account value goes over $100,000, then their SSI benefits will be suspended but not terminated. It won't impact their medical assistance eligibility. They still would be able to go to the doctor and receive their prescriptions during that time. And actually, that reminds me of another benefit that I want to mention to the person who just asked a question about the person who doesn't have any income. If that person is receiving SSI, under normal SSI rules, they can only save $2,000. But let's say they would, rather than spend that down every month, they would really rather save for something that they need, something specific. ABLE allows them to do that without jeopardizing their benefits. Okay, so important detail that pertains to housing for SSI recipients. Housing is a qualified disability expense. However, for people on SSI, they want to be careful about timing, and they want to pay their housing expenses in the same month, the same calendar month that they take the money out. So for example, we are in January now. If I took money out to pay my February rent, I'd take the money out in January and I would pay my landlord in January. I would not carry it over from January into February because that could decrease my benefits. Non-qualified withdrawals are similar. As long as the money is withdrawn in the same calendar month, there's no impact on benefits. And for SSI purposes, housing expenses are broader than you might think. They're broader than just rent or mortgage. They also include things like garbage removal, sewer, gas, things like that. So you will want to keep that in mind if you receive SSI. This slide talks about what happens when an account owner passes away. So after an account owner dies, all outstanding disability expenses can be paid out by the family. That includes things like medical and burial expenses, legal fees, all those sorts of things. Pennsylvania does not make a claim against a person's ABLE account while that person is alive. But after the person dies, the State Department of Human Services can make a claim, and that's the same thing they would do if the person with a disability did not have an ABLE account. The rules are the same about what happens to an estate, whether or not someone receives ABLE. Pennsylvania is more generous than many states because Pennsylvania limits claims to only to funds spent after the person turned 55 years old. So let's say Bob had been receiving benefits since kindergarten. If Bob lived to be age 53, the state wouldn't make any claim against his estate. If Bob lived to be, say, 60, the state could make a claim against his estate, but only for funds spent after his 55th birthday, not for funds spent all those years since kindergarten. The state would only make a claim for funds spent on nursing facility services, home and community-based services, and hospital and prescription drug services. That whole process would be delayed if Bob were survived by a spouse, a child under 21, or a child with a disability. I'm going to skip.
I do have a question. It goes back to the example you shared. I believe it was slide 23.
Okay.
So the question is, what happens if the landlord doesn't cash the check before the next month, such as if the 30th is your rent date?
I'm not sure. That would be, I think, a question for Social Security.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat expert on PA Able, but I'm not an expert on Social Security. So that would be a question I think that you would want to ask of them. And you also could stress to your landlord that, you know, it's important that he cash it, you know, in a timely manner. Hopefully he would want to do it.
Good question. Okay, so I will take that question, and actually I will take that to our SSI presentation we have in a couple weeks. So
Oh,
I'm
good.
glad it was asked.
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm just going to run through quickly what it looks like if you apply for an ABLE account online. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our other programs at the Treasury Department. So most people enroll at paable.gov. You also can print out the enrollment form from our website. I'll just put a plug in for the PA Able disclosure statement that has lots of great information about PA Able, including the objectives, risks, expenses, and restrictions. All right, so first we're going to put in the account owner's information. And remember, even if the person with a disability is a baby, that the person with a disability is always the account owner. So I'm going to put in the account owner's first and last name here. If it's me, I'm going to put in my own email and phone number. But let's say it is my child, obviously I'm going to put in my email and my phone number because I'm the adult who's managing the account. Next, you're going to put in, so it's asking, hey, who's filling out this information today? Is it the person with the disability, or is it the person's mom or guardian? Depending on how I answer this question, I may receive a follow-up email asking me for documentation, like court documents or birth certificate, that sort of thing, just to prove that I'm someone who should be permitted to manage money on behalf of this other person. Then again, we're going to put in the name of the person with a disability, and we're going to put in their permanent address. It's asking information about the disability. Obviously, a lot of people have more than one disability. Don't worry about wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. This is just the federal government collecting some basic data on who needs ABLE accounts. Is it mostly, say, people with respiratory disorders or autism or blindness? So again, no wrong answer there. It's asking whether the person with the disability receives SSI, SSDI, or whether they're self-certifying. It's asking for some sort of verification of the person's identity, a driver's license or state ID, for example, mother's maiden name, all that good stuff. Again, it's a lot like applying for a credit card or a bank account. It's asking how you would like to invest. You can invest one way today and another way next week, as long as these percents add up to 100%. So I think this is a nice visualization of how, like maybe today I want to put all of my funds in the moderate option. Maybe next week I want to put a little bit into each fund, and that's fine. I also can set these up ahead of time. So if someone else makes a contribution to my ABLE account, those funds will be invested the way that I choose. It's asking how we would like to fund this account. Do we want to use a check? Do we want to link it to our payroll? Do we want to link it to an existing bank account? If so, do we want to just make a contribution now and then? Or do we want to set up automatic contributions so we don't have to remember to put able money in? Again, this is flexible too. I can link it to my own bank account. If my mom wants to contribute, I can link it to mom's payroll or mom's bank account. There's really an awful lot of flexibility here. This asks how you prefer to receive information, either through the mail or electronically for those lower fees. You're going to choose a username and a password. You're going to have some security questions about your oldest niece's middle name and where your parents met and what your dog's astrological sign is, or all those great kinds of questions we all love. And that is just a brief overview of ABLE. And now I'm going to mention briefly our other savings, our other programs in general, not just savings. And I'll be happy to stay on and answer any questions about any of the programs.
All right. Before you do that, we do have another quick question.
Okay.
So the question is, what happens if you open an ABLE account before getting SSI? Does it matter to wait if you may be getting SSI soon? So kind of sounds like one of those cart before the horse. What's the right order?
So what the rule is that if you're eligible to receive SSI or SSDI, then you're eligible for an ABLE account. So if you're eligible now, then you should be good to go.
Okay. Hopefully that answers that question. If not, pop something in chat and we will bring that up and readdress it.
Okay. So even though I'm staying on and I'm happy to answer questions today, I will also mention that you can call any weekday between 8 and 5 on our ABLE helpline, which is 855-529-ABLE, or you can email us at info@paable.gov. There's also lots of great information on our website, and if anybody wants to sign up for a webinar, you can go there, and we have free webinars sometimes every month and at least every quarter. So now I'm going to talk briefly about our other programs. Unclaimed property is an area if someone owes you money and they can't find you, maybe you've moved away, or maybe their version of your address is slightly askew, they have a letter off or a number off and they can't find you, those funds go to the State Treasury Department. We would love to return those funds to people. So if you go to the PA Treasury website, you can search under your name, your friends and family's names, and see if you have any unclaimed funds. We would love to return those to you. Our newest program is Keystone Scholars. Keystone Scholars is a $100 sort of get started deposit in a child's name to be used later for higher education. It's automatic. Any child born or adopted in Pennsylvania in 2019 or later automatically qualifies at birth, and that money grows as the child grows. They can use it for college or trade school after high school. We also have I'm gonna go to the next slide. Okay. Oh, I didn't know this slide did all this fancy stuff. Okay. We also have a 529 college and career savings. We have two different plans, and those can help families save for college expenses and with nice tax benefits. Treasury offers two different plans. There's a 529 guaranteed savings plan, and that allows families to save. You can buy tuition at today's tuition grades to use whenever your child goes to college. I like to think of it sort of like a forever stamp. If I buy a forever stamp at the post office today, I can use it next week, or I can use it 20 years from now. But either way, I have paid the cost of mailing that letter. The other plan is the investment plan, and that offers a number of investment options for families. They all have, both the plans have significant state and federal tax advantages. They can be used for tuition, room and board, apprenticeships, lab fees, computers, and even K through 12 tuition. So lots of good uses for those. And if you want to learn more about those, you can go to our website or take a webinar on that. So I have contact information up if you have questions about any of our programs. I will leave that up there and see if anyone has any other questions.
So I do have one that just came in.
Okay.
It says individual called last year and was told there was a monthly fee around $13 a month for the ABLE accounts. But one of the slides said the fee was per quarter. Did rules change?
Can you say that again, please?
So I guess they were told that there was a monthly fee of $13 for the ABLE account. So they're just wondering, but you stated that the fee was per quarter. So did the rule change between last year and this year?
The fees have gone down, and the fees are taken out from account returns daily. So I mean, you can call them a monthly fee or a quarterly fee or an annual fee. They have gone down and they are taken out daily. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
They have recently been lowered, and I think they're about to be lowered again. So I'm happy about that too.
Yeah, that's great news. Now, can you have an ABLE account and like a PA 529 or a Keystone Scholars kind of going?
Yep.
Okay.
So the PA 529 college and career is really focused on education. Okay. So let's say I had a daughter born tomorrow, and she had a disability. Yes, I could definitely open both kinds of accounts. And the 529 would be specifically for her education after high school, you know, her tuition to college or trade school, and all those other kinds of things we talked about, even K through 12 private school funding. Whereas her ABLE would be money that she could use sooner and for a wider variety of expenses, but specifically related to her disability.
Okay. Well, it's good to know.
I would like to mention too, when I talked about, there we go. When I talked about unclaimed property, there is an additional place. If you see here, there's military decorations. So there's sort of a separate database for any dog tags, awards, any military artifacts. So if you know someone who served in the armed forces and you know, maybe lost something over the years, they're welcome to look in there too.
Well, that is interesting. I know I've been on the unclaimed property site and I don't remember seeing the military part, but I'm going to take a look at that now to see what's, you never know what's out there.
You never know. We would love to return people's things to them.
Yeah. So we do have a question just came in. It says, does each account or program have a separate fee? If so, are they charged the same date?
I think what they mean is ABLE versus the college funds. They do have separate fees, and I apologize, but I don't remember gosh, I don't remember if the college fund fees show up quarterly or monthly, and I apologize about that. I can't always keep all of everything in my head anymore. But they are separate, and there's
Okay.
no fee for Keystone.
Okay. A lot of good questions for a Friday morning.
Yes, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
And I can always send those to you separate if you want to check into them, or maybe you can redirect me to the right person at
Yeah,
the department.
I can check and email you back, and I apologize that I don't remember that.
That's okay. I don't remember a lot of things sometimes. It's not always knowing the answer, it's knowing where to get the answer that I tell people is important.
Exactly.
All right. We'll see. We'll just hang out for a little bit, see if there's any last questions. But while we're doing that, I want to thank you for being with us today and sharing all of this information. It was really helpful for me. I know I've got a lot of things to think about and different programs that I can explore and talk about more with people and get them signed up.
Yeah. And if anybody's interested, we have periodic webinars on the PA 529 college and career accounts and on Able. So you can go, let me go to that slide. You can go to the websites if you want to learn more. The websites have loads of good information on them. And you can feel free to sign up for a webinar. We're also out at a lot of events. We were recently at the Barb Show. We're going to be at fairs this summer. We go to conferences. So feel free to grab us and ask us a question in person as well.
That's great. It is great to start seeing people coming back out to the fairs and to conventions and shows and having that one-on-one conversation, because I think that is super helpful, especially with something like this. It's very personal, and you can't hit everybody's concerns and questions. But you did a fantastic job of doing a great overview, broad overview for us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, I guess I have no other questions, so we can wrap up for today. And I'll just say again, thank you and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Diane. Bye-bye.
Bye.